Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show with Nancy and Lisa. So every first Saturday, right here on Big Blend Radio, we love to have our conversation with Linda Kissam. She's a food, wine, travel writer. She is known as the Food, Wine, and Shopping Diva. And she is back home in Arizona and doing this amazing series called Arizona Finds. And she found another great place with really awesome olive oil. It's Queen Creek Olive Mill. And we're super excited because she's also brought Perry Rea on the show. Him and his wife co-founded this amazing, it's an amazing story. They went from Detroit. So they went from motor oil to olive oil. I saw that on their website, and I got the giggles about that. You can go to queencreekolivemill.com. If you go to blendradioandtv.com, you'll see Diva Linda's story on there and also a cool recipe that I cannot pronounce, but it's all up there. But welcome back, Diva Linda. How are you?
Good, thank you. As Perry was saying before we started the show, it's going to be 72 degrees here today.
Oh.
And that's why all of us are here in Arizona during the winter. So my rose bushes are in bloom. I don't think they're supposed to be, but they are.
Ooh.
Life is good. The fruit trees are starting to blossom, and that's a good place to be.
I like it. I like it. Welcome, Perry. How are you?
I am just wonderful. I mean, it's when you grow up in Canada and move here from Detroit, you get up in the morning. I walked my dog for 2 miles this morning, and the sun was just coming up, and it's just beautiful. So I think I made a good move, and I think my kids like it too. So I mean, to bring them here from Canada and Detroit, and then they kind of grow up here, this is kind of a good thing for them. So
that's awesome. And they work in the business too with you, right? Some of them.
Some of them do, yeah. Some of the lucky ones.
Yeah. And what about the dogs? Do you put them to work too?
Yeah, well, the dogs, we only have one dog now, but he's getting older, so he kind of feels the pain when I take him on 2 or 3 mile walks in the morning. Sometimes I got to drag him, but yeah, so it's good.
Go check the groves, right? This is great. So, Linda, you got to go. I know that you guys do tours in the winter season, like fall, winter, right? When it's harvesting time. And Linda, you got to go on one of these tours, and that's like that must have been fun. I've never done an actual grove tour for olives.
Yeah, it was on a press tour, and we were treated so nicely, really. And the good thing was I got to experience everything that you're able to do at the olive mill, and it's a great day destination. I don't care what age you are, and you can bring your dog because it's dog friendly. That's really important. Easy to get around in, just wear sneakers, and if you wear sandals, you're probably going to get a little debris in your shoe or whatever, but easy to get around in and so forth. The food is, oh my gosh, wonderful. I mean, the olive oil, of course, is why you're there, but inside the marketplace, so outside there's patios and you can sit amongst the trees and have your own Zen moment, and then you could eat inside or outside. And the food, you guys just are so thoughtful about your choices. It's just not like, I don't know, you hired somebody and said, just get them something so that they have something to eat. It's really thoughtful choices. There's a brick oven for pizza. There's a deli. I love the desserts. Holy cow. And then the lovely olive tour, which is about, am I right, Perry? It's about 45 minutes. Is that about
That's right?
It's a small group. It's not 50 of your best friends. At least it wasn't when I was there. And there is a cost. I think it's $5, $7. $7. Worth it. And you get a little tiny olive tasting with it, with an explanation of why the olive oil is the way it is. And of course, I've been to around the world and done many olive tastings, and I thought this was extraordinary. Right here in Arizona. Who knew that they made olive oil in Arizona? Who knew? I did not know. So this was a great trip for me, and I thought it was so good that I wanted to share it with you. And the story behind it, which I hope Perry will tell us a little bit more, is so funny. so interesting, and so often it's the same sort of story about how wineries come to be. It's not this long, thoughtful process about I want to be a winemaker or a winery, have a winery forever. It's like, now let me look around and see what else there is to do. And I'll go on vacation, take a little break, and oh my gosh, look at that. I could do a business here. That would be wonderful. I think it's a great story. I love it. And not only the way that with the action plan was fabulous and continues to be fabulous, and they continue to do wonderful things and invite the public in and the locals. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, let's go once a year. This is a place that you could go all the time, and it would be for their events and I don't know, bring out of town people, but just for the locals, it's just a great, easy to get to. Who knew it'd be just about, what is it, about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour from Phoenix, Perry? Is that right?
Yeah, it's about an hour from Phoenix, a little less than an hour from Phoenix. I mean, we're in the Southeast Valley, so, we're in farmland.
Nice.
Obviously, we have to be in farmland, but we used to be really in farmland. Now we're getting encroached by a lot of rooftops, but yeah, we're still on, about 56 acres ourselves, with 20 acres of olives planted. And it's kind of like a winery, but our concept is not wine. It's extra virgin olive oil. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting going through your website and tasting the olive oil. The olive oil you send to us, and everyone, you can get it on. Oh, it went away. There it is. You can get it online. And that's what I love. You were able to ship it out balanced. You called it balanced extra virgin olive oil. And I know your notes say that it's grassy and harmonious. I just was like, it just tasted so fresh to me. And yet, and balanced was the exact thing that came to me. It was like, this is fresh. It kind of gives you a little skip of yum. And then it's like, ooh, now you can dig in. And I sauteed mushrooms and garlic with it to make our own. We make flatbread pizza quite a bit because we're lazy. And I've learned from Chef Ivan Flowers that you don't just put raw mushrooms on the pizza. That's not good. They need to get those flavors out. So the pizza really was about the extra virgin olive oil and the garlic coming together in this. I'm hungry now. Give some pizza now. But the olive oil, you can, this is something you can use without even cooking anything. If you want to just drizzle it maybe on pasta or hummus. To me, I want to make hummus with this. It's really good.
The balanced olive oil is one of the 3 profiles that we offer at the mill. The difference between our delicate, balanced, and robust oils are a bit of a function of the varieties that we use, that I blend to make these oils, as well as the time of harvest. So think about an olive. An olive begins to be ripe at a green ripe stage, and it continues to ripen on the tree. Then they'll start getting some flecks of purple, and then in a very ripe stage, they're very purple. They're not black; they're purple. Okay, the black olives that you eat, you put on your fingers and you eat. The black olives that you eat in a can they're actually harvested green, and then they're turned black during the curing process. So getting back to the 3 different profiles, delicate, balanced, and robust, a delicate oil would be an oil that I would harvest very late in the season. So the olives are very, very ripe. So right now, in Arizona, I am today pressing my delicate oil because the olives are very, very nice and ripe. So they're almost all black.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Mid-season, which would have been about 3 weeks ago, we would be harvesting our olives, and those olives would be some green, some black, some in between. That's where you would get your balanced oil. The robust oil, on the other hand, would be very early in the season when the olives are green ripe, and you would get a very robust oil. So there's three good profiles. There's three good attributes in extra virgin olive oil. Only three good ones that when you're doing the sensory analysis, as an olive oil sommelier, I look at those things, and that's how I come to my when I blend, I say, okay, this one's going to be delicate, this one's going to be balanced, this is going to be robust. A delicate oil, you're looking at the three different sensory attributes, one of them being fruitiness, one of them being bitterness, and another one being pungency. So when you're tasting a delicate oil, the bitterness is very low, the pungency is very low, but the fruitiness is very high. So that in a delicate oil, believe it or not, is probably, it doesn't show as our best-selling oil, but I think that the American palate loves a delicate oil because it is so much like butter. It's very, very, it's just a really wonderful flavor on your tongue, and there's not a lot of bitterness or pungency. And you would use a delicate oil for things like poaching fish, or when you're drizzling over something like steamed vegetables. So that's that delicate oil. Fry your eggs in the morning with delicate oil. I mean, why would you use butter if you can use delicate extra virgin olive oil? So making a frittata, things like that. Whereas a balanced oil is what I call my utilitarian oil, and hence the name balanced is our biggest seller. I mean, if you're coming in here and you don't know a lot about olive oil and you don't want to buy a delicate or a robust, what are you going to buy? You're going to buy balanced olive oil. Represents about 50% of all of the extra virgin olive oil that we sell at the mill.
Oh, wow.
I read that I was looking up uses for olive oil, and I read the weirdest thing. This lady substitutes when she's making a cake, when she's making the butter, which we would normally call buttercream frosting, which is really butter and confectioner's sugar, she uses olive oil instead of butter. And I just can't see how that would work. Do you think that would work?
It does. I mean, you can.
Yeah?
It depends.
Wow.
It depends really on what you're baking. I mean, we you mentioned earlier about our bakery, our baked goods. We do everything from scratch here. Our baked goods. Our best selling. I mean, some of the best things that come out of our kitchen are our olive oil cupcakes, and there's no butter used in the olive oil cupcakes. I mean, we use the chocolate olive oil for the chocolate cupcake. We use the Meyer lemon for the lemon cupcakes, the Valencia and the lime and the vanilla bean. Matter of fact, the chocolate and the vanilla bean olive oils that I produce here and I make here and blend here are really primarily for baking. Our waffles on our menu.
Yeah, but I want a martini now. For some reason, I want a martini with the olive oil. I'm just like, why not?
Well, I tell you, drizzle a little bit of the jalapeno olive oil on top of your vodka martini. That's a great way to go. Accompanied with some Maytag blue cheese stuffed olives. There you go.
Why
Yeah,
not?
we're getting off track now.
I know. I'm sorry, but I just heard you saying Meyer lemon. I'm like, this sounds cocktaily to me. You could probably do it to a Bloody Mary and get away with it.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but go back to baking. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
just got a little excited there.
I think we were talking about, so the robust oil. Robust oil is my favorite oil because it's got a lot of character, and it's the least amount of oil that we make every year, but it has a lot of character. It has that bitterness. It has the pungency, a very limited amount of fruit. When you taste olive oil and you taste olives, if you ever taste olives in an olive oil, it's not a good olive oil. You don't want to taste olives. You want to taste all other kinds of sensory attributes in that oil. All right. And the robust oil is so herbaceous. It's got a real kick to it when you're going to cough 3 times when you swallow it. And I use the analogy I use when I use my robust. And by the way, I only use my robust oil as in its raw state. So I would drizzle it. As a big finishing oil.
Okay.
And the analogy I use is if you use a really nice sea salt, okay, if you use a really nice salt to bring up the flavor in any of your dishes, using the robust olive oil as a drizzle will just kick it into the next dimension.
Mm.
Unbelievable.
I'm hungry now, and
Yeah.
I do want a martini.
So the robust oil is that's all I have at home, by the way. I only use robust oil, it's just I use it in its raw state. I use it to saute. I mean, the smoke point. Everybody thinks, oh my God, the smoke point of olive oil is really low. It's not really low. It's like, it's between 375 and 400 degrees. If you're, nothing that you have to saute, you need to saute over 375 degrees.
Exactly.
And any oil that
Yeah.
you put in your fry pan is going to smoke if you put it too high. So,
Yeah.
a lot of chefs will say, oh no, I can't use extra virgin olive oil. And they obviously don't understand the whole smoke point of olive oil. Olive oil, olive oil has been around 8,000 years, guys, right? Yeah, 8,000 years. Well, I think since I started using that term, it's 8,020 years. But the thing is that, you go through all of these different, oh my God, we should be using coconut oil, which is totally really high in a saturated fat. Or then we got avocado oil. And then the one thing that has always been, it's been all extra virgin olive oil. And there's a lot of differences in olive oil. I mean, we can go through that too. Extra virgin, and then pure olive oil and pumice olive oil. They're different stages of the processing of olive oil. But extra virgin olive oil is the one with the lowest monounsaturated fats. It's got great polyphenols, antioxidants. It's the way to go. I mean, look at me. I'm 72. What do I know?
It's funny you talk about this. We were doing a cooking show or something the other day, and I think it was about filet mignon. Wasn't it with Chef Ivan? And he starts talking about, you've got to use, olive oil. I said, well, what about this oil? And what about? He's like, hear me, it's olive oil. Just get all of, just get over all of it. All of these can be good, but if you stick to a good olive oil, it is far better. And if you need to, if your meat needs more moisture, then you need to use olive oil. And then we have one chef that's on our show all the time, Ruth Milstein, and she's from Israel and does Israeli cooking and for families. And she'll take meat and take all the meat, the fat off of it that a lot of chefs want. But because she's into healthy cooking, she's like, no, take that fatty stuff off and put olive oil. That's it. Yeah. That's what she does. And she's and her food is delicious. And so it's very interesting how you say that, because a lot of the chefs that we're looking and work with that are really trying to produce the best tasting food and try to give it on a healthier side. I'll say olive oil is the thing. Which is good to know. But I find your story very interesting. Here you are, a sommelier for olive oil. Who knew that there was sommelier? I had no idea until I was on your website and tasting the olive oil and reading Linda's article that I didn't even know there was such a thing. But like Linda says in her article, that your story is pretty interesting. Going, you go to Phoenix on a vacation and say, oh, let's grow olive trees and make olive oil, and then let's have a restaurant, do catering, private events, tours. Let's become a sommelier. And then your wife goes, well, no, we need to have products for your home, products for your body. Like, let's have a spa section. Let's have a market. Did you really think all that was going to happen like in 1997? Actually, that's the same year we started our magazine. That's pretty cool.
I think that it's kind of a cool story, because when I was in the automotive industry, the automotive industry is a real fast-paced, real cutthroat, real, you're only dealing with 5 or 6 customers, and then a bunch of engineers, and we were designing parts and manufacturing parts. We had 2,300 workers, 13 locations. I was the president. I was running the and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But when we got bought out, I stuck around for 2 more years and ran their North American operations. And my first son, Angelo, I really didn't see him for the first 2 years, because I was jumping in a plane every month and going to Windsor, England, and doing my presentation, and then made me stay there for a week because their European operations weren't as good as our North American operations. So it got to the point where I just said, guys, it's time for me to leave. And so, the story is, it's actually true. My parents were vacationing in Phoenix, actually in Fountain Hills. And my wife and I one night decided to go for dinner in Old Town Scottsdale. And, kind of walking around, and olive trees were planted here,
Nice.
many years ago as for landscaping. And so there's a lot of Mission and Manzanillo olive trees planted around the valley. And some of them are as old as 50 to, 60 years old. And they do very well here as long as you take care of them. They don't need a lot of irrigation. It doesn't rain a lot in Phoenix. So, just kind of looking at that, I'm going, wow, there's all these olive trees growing. So my wife and I, after our vacation, went back to Michigan, and we were in an Irish bar. And my wife's Irish, by the way. Well, she's Irish and a bunch of other things, but mostly Irish. We put an Italian and an Irish person together. That's how we have 5 kids, by the way. But anyway.
It's passionate, everybody.
It really is. But she looks at me and she goes, well, why don't we just make extra virgin olive oil in Arizona? And I looked at it and I went, wow, that's kind of an interesting idea. I love to cook. I'm 100% Italian. Both my parents were born in Italy. And so then the wheels started turning, and I said, well, I just look at a business like a business. I mean, I'm a business major, economics major. All of my mechanical stuff came from, working at the business. So I just kind of looked at it as another business, and I didn't care whether I was making automotive parts or whether I was making extra virgin olive oil. There's inputs and there's outputs, right? And then there's running the business the way you're supposed to run a business. And so, I did a little bit background work, did a couple of courses at UC Davis. I have a bunch of Italian friends who put me in contact with some mills in Italy. So I went to visit a couple of mills in Puglia, and
cool.
And I just, even while we were at UC Davis, when we were visiting there, I even looked at Sonoma as a possible venue. But there was an upstart olive oil community growing in Sonoma, as well as some of the other outlying counties, because they had a bunch of olive trees growing. And so I decided, my wife and I decided, maybe Arizona is the right place to be, because we would be the only olive oil company in Arizona.
Positioning.
And we still are. And, after 20 years, we still are, 20 odd years. It obviously gave us a little bit of notoriety. To be in Queen Creek, to be the Queen Creek olive mill was nice because people know where you are. So, but, we grew very organically. I mean, my first mill was an Olio Mio 50, which did 50 kilos an hour, which is approximately 115 pounds an hour.
Oh.
To give you an idea of what we do right now, today we're processing 3 tons an hour.
Oh.
So we go from 115 pounds
Wow.
an hour, and in 18 years we're doing 3 tons.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
So, yeah. So we've gone from being a very small operation, growing organically throughout the years, having one SKU, which was just extra virgin olive oil, to now probably over 300 different SKUs. So, people go, wow, you came from the automotive industry, my joke, motor oil to olive oil. We're not really, we make extra virgin olive oil. That's what we do. We only do that 2 months of the year, and the rest of the year we're really in the market. We're really in the business of agritourism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. It's very important for me to, when people visit, we show them the reason why we're here, our history, as well as, the benefits of using extra virgin olive oil. And a lot of the complementary products that we have here at the mill really are, whether they're Mediterranean, Greek, Spanish, Italian, French, that whole Mediterranean diet idea. But everything you'll see on our shelf is kind of unique. You know, you're not going to see it even down the road at Whole Foods or, you know, Sprouts or whatever. You're going to see pretty unique products here. And a lot of the products that we private label were developed by me. And you know, we use local co-packers. There's some co-packers in California, but the recipes are mine. So, you know, the tapenades, the stuffed olives, pasta sauces, the barbecue sauces, the hot sauces. You know, we do all of our own vinegars as well as all of the olive oils here at the mill. So we bottle, we blend, we produce the vinegars and the olive oils.
That's
and I have
a
a lot
lot.
of I have a lot of fun with the vinegars too.
So you know how much I love to shop. Well, Perry does.
Oh boy.
Of course, maybe if he saw how much I bought when I left the store, maybe he would. But anyway, one of the things, and you just touched on it, is that you are community-based and you actually are a very big community, a supporter of your community. And if you tell the story about how local products get on your shelves, that you had a bit of a issue getting people to take yours. So you said, well, when I get big enough, I'm not going to harangue people and just say no to say no. So this is a beautiful story about, I hope you'll tell about how you support local people doing things that complement what you do, but your shelves are not 100% your stuff. You bring in local stuff and how you do that.
Right. Well, you know, it's when I first started out, you know, knocking on local gourmet stores, you know, there's a few of them in the Valley, and very difficult to get on their shelves. And then, you know, I didn't have enough money to do placement fees and things like that. And I remember how hard it was in the very beginning just to get my olive oil in restaurants as well as, you know, on store shelves. You know, the smaller boutique guys were no problem, but I mean, to get into the Whole Foods and the Sprouts and things like that were very, very difficult, very difficult. First of all, because you're a brand new extra virgin olive oil company. We had won some awards at that point, but so in my mind, anybody who walks into my door and says they've got a product, you know, they've got to meet obviously some environmental services kind of, they've got to be, a commercial kitchen and things like that. But if they've got something that they want to put on my shelves, I welcome them with open arms. And I say, look, I love your product. Let's put it on the shelf. If it sells, I need you to support it. If it sells, we'll keep it on the shelf. And that's kind of our motto here. I mean, you're an upstart, you're brand new. And I'll tell you something, we've got some really cool products that we have in our store that you cannot find anywhere. And they're fantastic products. And they're made by these, these food entrepreneurs that just think that, and there's some flops. I mean, we'll put stuff on the shelf and it won't sell. And we just say, sorry guys, maybe you shouldn't be in this business. But, I'll tell you something, we have some really cool stuff that you cannot find anywhere. So
what is your number one seller of those types of local products that you bring in? What was the biggest hit?
Yeah, I would have to say probably our honeys.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's a cool story too, because we are the only place in the whole valley that has olive blossom honey.
Oh,
wow.
And
yummy.
they put their bees at the back in our grove and around our big reservoir pond, and we get a lot of olive blossom honey every year. So yeah.
How nice.
That's amazing. And when you talk about the bees, okay, we are all into bees. We need to save bees. We really, really do. One thing, when I was reading your brochures and on your website, which I really love, and Diva Linda knows we're going there, is the sustainable practices that you do, because I think that's something we're always trying to teach about agriculture, because the first thing people go, oh, the farmers are taking all the water. Now, in some instances, that can be true, but every place is different. Every farm is different, and it depends also on the size and where they're located. The first time I think we've really hung out in olive groves was in Lindsay, California, where Lindsay olives, which they've now sold, and it's different, but through there, and it's like just acres of them. I mean, it's just like you get lost, and then you end up in a vineyard field. But I like what you're doing is you're looking what solar. Your irrigation seems to be really good, and not using pesticides. And that's kind of a natural thing. When we were in Yuma, the medjool dates seem to do really well there. They don't need pesticides. So they did a test where you can buy them organic, but they really said it didn't make a difference to the product at all. And they tried all different irrigations, but they did flooding, they've done drip. And of course, you've got to look at Yuma, and it's the Colorado River, and they own their own water rights, and that's a whole other show. But we learned about how little they used with the medjool dates, and how they didn't need all these pesticides. And it seems seems like the story with what's going on with olives in your region.
Right. I mean, that's one thing about Arizona. We do not have a lot of the issues that olive growers have around the world, and even California. The humidity is very low here, so we don't really have to worry about olive knot. So we never have to spray copper for olive knot. We don't have the olive fly. It's just too hot in the summer for the olive fly to exist here, and it's not humid. So growing it, the olive tree is a desert plant. It's an evergreen. It keeps its leaves all year round. It's a fruit, by the way, and it does not require a lot of water. But in order to have some sustainable crops, delivering water to the tree is very important, and delivering the water sustainably is important too, because although the olive, an olive grove, a typical olive grove will use about 1/3 of the water that a typical, acre of cotton would use. And of course, cotton is not only does it take a lot of pesticides and everything else, but the olive tree really is, like Thomas Edison said, God gives from heaven, right? But it's not a difficult plant to grow. You just got to understand the olive tree and how to maximize its harvest, and to keep it as healthy as possible. So, we do tissue samples and things like that throughout the year, but, the olive tree, again, really loves the desert. Our Yuma Grove, I have a farming partner in Yuma. They have 100 acres. Matter of fact, we're doing our delicate oil using their olives, their Koroniki olives this week. But they're, they are, and they also, by the way, have a medjool date farm right beside their olive farm. So yeah, so they do dates as well as olives. But yeah, pesticide free. They're not using any herbicides, so it's a very clean crop. They're not, they're not organic certified, but there's really no need to, because it just happens to be one of those. One of those crops that really are, very easy to grow. You just got to make sure you give them everything they need. And,
do you talk to them when you go walk through the groves?
Oh, the trees? I sing to them.
You sing to the trees. Here we go.
It's Clint Eastwood.
I got that Dean Martin voice.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
there it
Nancy's going to be happy
Everybody
about
loves
that.
somebody, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I love to hear the sustainable practice. And then you also mentioned solar panels in some of your materials. Is that on the the actual tasting rooms?
We have about 500 or so solar panels on our roof.
Wow.
And we've had those. Oh my gosh, we did two sets of them. Our first set was like 260, and our second set was like 270. But they're on our roof, and we have. I tell everybody that we only run our olive mill 2 months of the year. So I just those 2 months I dedicate to the olive mill, and we have zero carbon footprint on our olive oil, because we're generating obviously electricity all year round. But I'll dedicate all that electricity to my olive mill when I'm making extra virgin olive oil. So but yeah, and it works well.
That's cool.
It accounts for about 35 to 40% of our electrical needs.
That's awesome because it's
Wow.
expensive when you
Mm.
start getting into the summer for air conditioning. I don't care if you're in
Mhm.
a house or in a big warehouse.
Mhm.
It gets expensive. Well, you're lucky you're not in California. You'd need a lot of solar panels real fast.
Yeah.
I remember how it got there. But on the bottle too, you said, okay, so you've got a partner in Yuma that you're working with. Do you partner in other areas? Because it looked like they're maybe Argentina, was it Chile?
Chile.
Yeah.
Chile. I have a great relationship in Chile. And let me tell you why. Extra virgin olive oil is a fresh product. It's not, you make it today. It's not like wine, doesn't get better with age. Our relationship in Chile, they harvest, because they're on the other side of the equator, they harvest in, April, May. And so I can bring fresh oil in, and I do bring fresh oil in from Chile, from a farming partner in Chile. Now, the last 18 months, I haven't actually been able to go to Chile because of COVID. But, in previous years, I go, I visit, we select the olives, I taste it, and I watch them actually make it. I stay there for a week. But this year was just basically a Zoom olive oil production meeting. So,
Yeah.
but the nice thing about Chile is, I'm always wanting to make sure that my oil is fresh.
Mm.
And I can still blend it with my oil that I'm making here, but I can make it so that sensory attribute in the oil, whether it's delicate, balanced, or robust, I can bring that up and make it fresh.
Mhm.
So, and we also have a partner in the Imperial Valley.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we bring in our olives from the Imperial Valley, and we'll process them too and mill them here at the mill.
Are you bringing them in off property? Are you bringing off property product in because you need more product, or you need the diversity of the taste?
No, it's more product. I can pretty well dial into the diversity of the taste in the delicate, balanced, robust idea by just blending different oils. If I need a balanced oil, if I'm running out of balance, I can take delicate and robust and put them together, in certain. So really, that's as a sommelier, it's really important that, your palate understands, balanced oil has to taste like this. I mean, it doesn't necessarily taste the same all the time, even from year to year, but it's very close. It's very close to what I think, in my mind, what a balanced oil should be. And it's very close to what I think a delicate oil should be, and it's very close to what I think a robust oil should be.
It's fascinating, man. I didn't know all this stuff. This is cool. I want to go. We have to come see you when we come through Arizona on our next. Well, you never know. That could be in a month. So
You never know.
it could be in the next couple of weeks. You never know with us and on our travels across the country. But Diva Linda, Arizona finds. You always find good stuff, no matter where you go. But this is your new home. Well, you've been there for a few years now, but this kind of thing, I mean, this has got to be fun for you to discover all of this in your backyard.
It's like, well, because I only live here about 5 to 6 months a year, it's like being a new resident every year that I come. So, I didn't really, this is my third, we call them seasons. I mean, this is my home, but this is my home. My other home is my husband's boat, which is his home. He loves to be on the boat. That's his home. This is my home. So anyway, when we're here, funny. I try to get out as much as I can. And plus I'm not traveling nationally or internationally like I used to. You remember all the stuff I used to do, but COVID sort of killed that. So it's kind of nice to just find out all the things. I mean, and who knew there was a farm trail in Arizona? Who knew? And
I love it.
Good for Mesa, Visit Mesa, putting together a brochure that celebrates that for everyone and sort of points it out. But like you say, what I found this year compared to, I took a press trip to Arizona many years ago, and it really came home yesterday. I went to Agritopia. Do you know where that is? You've been to Agritopia? So when I first went there, they were they just developed it. And so there were hardly no infrastructure and very few houses. Holy cow, I went there yesterday because it's on this foodie farm trail. It got swallowed up by housetops, by roofs, by apartments, by everything. It is not the farm community that I remember that they said. Do you remember when they said, or maybe, I don't know how involved you're in, but I remember they said this was going to be a lot of land with a few houses around with a couple of restaurants and a dairy. You drive through and get milk or whatever. Not it wouldn't be cows, but it would be a dairy shop. Holy cow. There are housetops everywhere. Nicely done, I must say, but holy cow. So anyway, the point of my conversation is the farmland is going, so it's best to go see this now. I mean, Arizona has quite the
Growing fast.
Yeah, it's growing so fast. I know that there's lots of construction where you are, Perry, and tell us a little bit about what's next for the mill. What else? What are you going to be doing next? You have 10 months to do things, 2 months to work, 10 months to do things. What are you doing for your
10 months?
Let's see some progress. What are you doing?
Yeah, really. You haven't done anything, Perry.
Okay, let's see
Yeah,
some-
really.
We're,
Who want 10 months
we are
off?
getting surrounded with rooftops ourselves.
Yeah.
But we are, Schneff Farms across the road. About 3 years ago, we approached the town because we were really not zoned in any kind of zoning district that the town really understood. So we were kind of these mavericks that were doing things that nobody else was doing. And Mark had been doing it. The Schneffs have been doing it for 75, 80 years.
Yeah.
They got their little peach thing going and they do all these festivals. And, we came around, 15 years ago. I actually bought this property from Mark Schneff. And so about 3 years ago, I approached the town and I said, I want to do a small expansion. And, I was zoned 1 house per acre. I wasn't zoned any kind of anything else. And
Oh my gosh.
so we sat down, Mark and I sat down and we developed with the town a zoning category called agritainment. And so now, so now we're Mark and I and some other areas of the town are zoned agritainment, which allows for a lot of different types of uses that are centered around farming and, agritourism. There could be bed and breakfasts, there could be hotels, boutique hotels. Mark even has a cemetery on his property. So, so the uses are very, very wide. And it also includes even residential that would work with the agritainment or the agritainment zoning. So that's kind of what we have right now. And to expand what we're doing right now, when you come here on a Saturday or a Sunday or anytime between November and May, maybe even into June, we're very, very crowded. So about a year ago, we made a decision that I'm going to expand, but we're going to expand just a little bit to the east of the property right now. And, right now we have 4 different warehouses in different spots in Phoenix. So we're going to kind of consolidate and make it a little bit more comfortable for our customer, give ourselves a little bit more room, especially in the marketplace. We could put a lot more product on our shelves, a lot more local product on our shelves. So making our customer experience a little bit bigger, making the destination a little bit more comfortable. When we're so crowded, people, will come to the front door and go, oh my God, turn around and leave because it's so crowded. So we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, of course not.
There's no other place in the valley where you can come and grab a good bite to eat and grab a bottle of wine and sit under an olive tree and listen to some music.
Oh, you have wine too?
Oh yeah.
So when's the B&B
Wine,
opening?
good wine and good beer.
When's the B&B opening? That's what I want to know. I think, it sounds very much like Temecula, Linda.
It does. Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
It's like
as a matter of
Temecula's Grove.
fact. Temecula, California. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh, been there many times.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so I used to be the executive director of that wine region. I did that for many years. So we did a lot on Big Blend about Temecula and its trials and tribulations, because it's sort of the same thing. You have agriculture, wine, obviously, olive trees, a couple other things, sort of citrus, of course, and it's all surrounded by houses. And every time you get a new house, you get a new complaint. People buy the houses knowing that it's a farm community, but they don't want the stuff that comes with the farm community. And anyway, they struggle a lot with trying to figure out what their zoning is.
Right.
Zoning, every year there's some kind of new zoning about something. You know, I don't know, we had some winery guy who wanted to just sell his wine and not make it there, so they had to make a new policy. Remember that one?
See, that's why I like this advertainment one. That's smart. That's really smart. That is, that goes beyond the multi-use permit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if the town didn't do it, they didn't know where to put us. I mean, they didn't know what kind of permit. I mean, I flew under the radar for a lot. I mean, I'd rather ask for forgiveness and permission half the time, right?
Yep.
So,
Yes.
The Catholic way. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say it's the Italian way, but I suppose it's the same.
Yeah, it is, right? And you know, the town loves the Queen Creek Olive Mill because, you know, I don't know whether I'm lucky or, you know, or good, but it, you know, naming it the Queen Creek Olive Mill was kind of probably the best thing I ever did, because not only does it show people on the map where we are, the town of Queen Creek loves it. So
that's cool.
And I'm on the Economic Development Committee at Queen Creek. So, you know, it's a really good relationship. The town has been unbelievably receptive to the olive mill, and they bend over backwards for us. So it's been a very good relationship.
Awesome.
I'm sure you help their tourism quite a bit.
Well, we have 650,000 visitors a year at the olive mill.
I would say you're making an impact.
That's fantastic. Well, I love it because people are getting to understand where food comes from. And that's something we, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're always trying to teach people where it comes from. And if you can actually see what an olive tree looks like, if you can actually see a farm setting, and I think for kids, it's so important because, you know, we've done a lot, like I was saying, in Central California. And when we go to some of these farm activities, like Farmer Bob, he's like, here you are, this is a place that grows 200 crops. It's like the America's breadbasket thing. And they said they even have to educate their local kids about what their parents are doing in the farming industry. That's how big a gap is for our youth and understanding where our food comes from. So I think it's so important what you're doing, because that way they'll understand to eat things that are healthier for them, you know, and that candy from the grocery store is not real.
Yeah. You know, in Arizona, because of its climate, you know, we can grow so many things in Arizona. I mean, you know, our garlic festival, we grow, you know, 7,000 bulbs of garlic right here organically, right outside my office here. And, you know, we have a huge garlic festival for 10 days. And we'll sell 7,000 of those organic bulbs that we grow. And, you know, that was just something that, you know, again, just something that I planted in my garden. Actually, my dad planted it in his garden. He said, oh, we'll try some garlic. The garlic is wonderful. And the bulbs are huge. And it's, you know, 5 different varieties that we plant every year. And, you know, it was just something, you know, that we decided to try. And I think this is going to be our 8th garlic festival. And just something that we just, you know, we just throw it around and say, hey, let's try this. And, you know, yesterday my son walked into my office and he said, you know, because we grow basil, a lot of basil, because we do a lot of pesto here and we sell a ton of basil. And we grow all of our own basil. He goes, hey, you know what? Let's plant maybe, you know, 4 or 5 different varieties and let's have a basil bash.
So cool.
That sounds like a great idea.
I think that's awesome.
I love this, but I think that's what's such a great thing about your business is it's, hey, well, why don't we do this? Okay. Why don't we do that?
If it works,
Yeah.
Okay.
if it works, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
That's hysterical. Well,
Mm.
thank you so much for joining us. It's
Mhm.
been a true pleasure. Thank you, Diva Linda. You know where to find them. You really do. You
Mhm.
know how to find the
Good
places
job.
and the people doing it. So
Mm.
thank you so much. You can follow Diva Linda and her adventures at allingoodtaste.info. Her story about Queen Creek Olive Mill is up on Blend Radio and TV.com. And of course, Queen Creek Olive Mill. I haven't had a martini yet, I swear. QueenCreekOliveMill.com is the website to go. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Mhm.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.